That's photos from the backyard, yes. We used to have the parties at the house.
For more than 60 years, Zoe and John have built a life across the road from the old Ford manufacturing plant at Campbellfield in Melbourne's north.
Of course, they're very good memories.
Ford hired thousands of workers, including Zoe, over its more than 60-year history. The pair have lived on the doorstep of one industrial revolution. Now a second is knocking on the door. Did you know what a data centre was?
I didn't know it, so I had to ask my children what it is. So they said something to do with batteries, and they will be working 24 hours a day.
Data centres are the factories of the digital economy, turning electricity into computing power, which is underpinning the global boom in AI technology. Lodged in April with the state government, this is what Singapore-based company Sarah DC is calling Project June, a massive $1.1 billion data centre campus in the middle of this site, drawing a total of 336 megawatts of power across 6 buildings once construction is complete. The first stage is proposed to be finished by mid-2028, the entire construction phase over 12 years.
It's not a good idea for us to live in this area and having all those things in and out every day. It's terrible.
Right now, the site is being subdivided by its owners into a broader industrial precinct. This work began in March and has already dug up concern for residents.
Look, everywhere. Look. The dust can go outside. The ice, everything. It's terrible. I want to sell my house and nobody buying it.
At the state level, governments are vying for a slice of the billions on offer to build data centres. There is now estimated to be 225 data centres in development this year across Australia, up from 97 last year, according to the Australian energy market operator. AEMO also predicts the growth in data centres could strain the electricity grid and potentially drive up prices.
Let's understand what we're building, where we're building it, and what we're asking communities to carry before we simply build more of it.
Anxieties around these facilities' water and electricity demands has seen the local council, Hume City, call for a moratorium on data centre approvals in Victoria.
Let's put it to the vote then. All those in favour? I declare that carried. Thank you, councillors.
Sarah DC has lodged its development application directly with Victoria's Planning Minister Sonia Kilkenny under special state planning provisions for big projects, bypassing the local council. The minister declined an interview with 7:30. In a statement, a spokesperson said every proposal is considered on its merits. As this proposal is under consideration, it would be inappropriate to comment further. Submissions from the community and nearby business can be provided up until a decision is made. Victoria's Environmental Protection Authority has lodged a formal objection to the project, citing concerns over potential noise risks and cumulative impacts associated with the site's layout.
I just feel like there are so many concerns. I'm concerned about the noise, I'm concerned about the air pollution and the noise pollution and the light pollution.
As part of the public notification process, Sarah DC sent letters to residents like Anastasia Drapaniotis.
People were not given enough notice before the proposed deadline of the 28th of July to even object.
Do you feel you've been listened to with this proposal?
No. We've not had the opportunity through our usual local council process to review the proposed plans.
Claire Jones also lives directly opposite the site on Barry Road. Claire, tell me, what are these ribbons for?
So Mike, we're trying to make a point as a community and bring some attention to the fact that we don't want a data centre built anywhere near our residential area.
Sarah DC declined an interview with 730 but said it began a community engagement program in late May, which, in a statement, said it included project information distributed to approximately 1,080 nearby households and 470 industrial businesses, supported by translated information, a dedicated project website, community survey, telephone and email channels, and direct visits to neighbouring businesses.
Well, this was the industrial heartland of Australia.
Bassem Abdo is the area's new federal Labor member.
Do you support that proposal?
I will only support a project that is in line with our national standards that we've put forward clearly on a national level.
So do you support this proposal?
At this stage, I'm not satisfied that that proposal meets those standards.
Sarah DC claims 407 jobs will be created annually during construction and 670 each year once it's up and running, boosting the Victorian economy by $158 million. A decision on this data centre proposal will be made by the state government, but increasingly the Commonwealth has its own expectations about what these large data centres will deliver for Australia and the communities they're built in. Under guidelines announced by the federal government in March, there is an expectation that those behind the data centres invest in Australian jobs and skills. Bassem Abdo wants to see employment pathways for his community.
At the moment, the case is yet to be made about what those jobs look like. Are they good, secure jobs that provide long-term careers for people in our area? And people need to understand clearly the impact it will have on our local environment and on the social life of our area.
Is your position at odds with the state government?
My position is that, and I've heard analogies around fast-tracking and railway pathways, this must not lead to a pathway to nowhere in terms of jobs and skills.
Australia is in a strong position to attract investment in data centres, but maintaining social licence will be essential.
Last night, the Prime Minister addressed business leaders in Sydney and spoke about a national approach to data centres.
That means ensuring energy bills do not rise, water security is maintained, and locations are appropriate.
Today, the Prime Minister told National Cabinet he will legislate these national standards early next year, including mandating measures for large data centres to use and invest in renewable energy sources. So far, Queensland and the Northern Territory have opposed this.
We believe that we can control our data sovereignty, protect the rights of local communities, and enable that energy mix to bring those data centres on.
These residents in Melbourne's north fear data centre regulations might arrive too late.
My question would be, when are these regulations going to come through? After they've all been built, or how soon can we expect something like that to happen? I think it should be done before any more are built or expanded, because otherwise how else are they going to be controlled and monitored?
National Cabinet convened in Sydney today with data centres at the top of the agenda. 730's political editor Jacob Grieber joins me now. Jacob, welcome.
Hi, Sarah.
We know that the Prime Minister went into National Cabinet today. He'd been talking about a mandate for all new data centres to use new renewable energy to power them. So what actually happened inside National Cabinet on that subject?
Not only that, Sarah, there was quite a strong push from the Energy and Climate Change Minister for these new data centres to really bring their own energy in the form of pure renewables. Now, that has met headlong with political reality. Queensland is not for budging on this issue. And we saw there just briefly in Mike's piece, the Premier, Chris Foley, making it clear that they have their own unique set of circumstances. Queensland has indeed earned itself a carve-out today from that agreement. They are not signing up to a strong, really only renewables position. And that's a sign that Queensland has its own road to follow. They control their own power stations, transmission and generation, not all of them, but a large amount. And Chris Foley is very determined that he be allowed to use coal and gas power when it comes to fueling the energy requirements of these data centres. So that's going to be quite interesting. Queensland will have a slightly different sales pitch to those data centre makers. And it'll be interesting to see whether they actually want to go to a jurisdiction that is actively promoting fossil fuel use.
Is there any potential here for the government to use its powers as the federal government over the states to insist that Queensland and the Northern Territory, for that matter, come into line? Or is this now set in stone that Queensland is going to have its own way, to some extent, of approaching energy use for data centres?
Well, look, that's certainly what people are backgrounding journalists on, that Queensland has its carve-out. The Prime Minister at the press conference was a little vague on that, but implied that that was the case. We'll have to wait and see. The standards are now being prepared. Legislation is going to be introduced early next year, we're told. But Queensland is telling people that this is a big win for them. They have their carve-out. It's an interesting contrast to the Commonwealth government is saying, well, actually, we've just given them a little more flexibility, but in reality, it's a status quo, in that Queensland is still part of the national electricity market. So in effect, yes, it can allow these other forms of non-renewable fuel to be part of the mix. But what it can't allow, or what it can't do, is actually drive up costs and make the grid unstable. So the counter-argument is renewables will still be the cheapest source of energy for data centres. They're also in a hurry, Sarah. They need to build these things now. The rules will make that clear. Gas, and even more unlikely, coal, will take many, many years and cost a lot of money. That's an expensive form of energy compared to renewables. And that will be a big factor in what gets built by the data centres. The other little wrinkle in it, of course, Sarah, is that Queensland itself can build the capacity paid for by data centres, and that might generate a surplus that can go into the grid for everyone else.
But just on the bottom line here, of course, we were watching Mike's piece on the crucial thing around social licence. If Queensland's decision does anything to increase energy prices, that kills that social licence, doesn't it?
That would be deadly for both Queensland, I think, in its relationship with the rest of the East Coast and South Australian market, but also do the data centre companies themselves, the big investors. They know they've got a social licence problem. That was made very clear there in Mike's piece. And you know, you look to the United States, it's a big part of the midterms that are coming up. Republicans are campaigning against data centres, so they're on thin ice, and they will need to reassure communities that they're not going to make their energy bills worse.
All right, thanks very much indeed, Jacob.
Thanks, Sarah.